everybody. Welcome to one more video on big units of World War II, designed for rapid fire, 20mm scale, of course. And this is the Ariete Tank Division, which in fact can be any of the other two Italian tank divisions, whether the Centauro or the Littorio. But I built it with Ariete in mind, and there are some particularities here for the Ariete division, of course. So you have here a very famous unit that initially some of its units that were present in the Western theater of war didn't act very well facing Wavell's compass operation. I mean, together with the 10th Army, they were overrun, but then the division got much better, also with the help of the German friends of the Deutsches Afrika Korps, in which, in fact, this division also belonged to. It was attached to the Afrika Korps because it was a very good one, and Rommel didn't want these guys to be left aside. And so these guys then started to, in fact, to have plenty of victories. They defeated the British at Bir Gobi. They defeated the good part of the 22nd British Armored Division. They kept on defeating New Zealanders at the Battle of the Point. Then during the Gazala operations, they did the same to the Indus of I don't remember exactly which brigade of Indian, but if I'm not mistaken, 4th Indian Brigade, is that so? Something like that. Well, and then I mean in the Bir Haim operation, when they tried to pierce the perimeter of the Free French, they suffered plenty of casualties, but as usual with this division and with most of the Italian divisions, they were very brave. In fact, the problem of the Italians was not bravery. They had lots of bravery. I remember being in Malta Island many years ago and looking at those midget submarines that were used by those almost suicidal missions of the Italians in order to destroy the ships that the British had inside La Valletta harbor. And then you look at that, and then you look at the remains of there was almost a full of those complete one of those midget Italian submarines. You see, I mean, you think two things: these guys are whether they were incredibly brave or completely crazy. I remember that in the most famous operation. I remember talking to the guy in the museum, and he told me maybe over 20 years ago that none of them survived, which is in fact a testimony of the proof of the Italian bravery. And there is also something very touching, which we sometimes speak when we speak about war. We read these things, but then there are also the pictures of the same guys that are hanging on the wall, which makes, I mean, sometimes when we are making models, I mean, it is somewhat different when you see the faces of the people that died inside these machines. Well, but this is another story. The division, the Ariete division, of course, in the end was defeated, was virtually destroyed at El Alamein. And there Rommel said that we lost our bravest friends regarding the Ariete destruction, which was a great loss for Rommel itself. Now let's look at the organization of the division. There is the 132nd Medium Tank Battalion. There are some L tanks here, some L. These are what? These are the L3 35. Sorry, and with non-existent, at least in Ariete, Esci M Lancia reconnaissance vehicles. They were used by the police in Libya, but okay, they stay nice here because they're also Italian. You can see here also the Bersaglieri 8 Bersaglieri regiment, 2 battalions. Also for the Bersaglieri, the battalion of anti-aircraft Porti guns, and also in the same way the Elefantinos, the 47mm anti-tank guns, also on top of the trucks. Also from Ariete, you see here the 2 groups of Semovente 75mm guns, which were very powerful and a nasty surprise for the British. You see here 2 different groups of reconnaissance, which can be used by several Italian tank divisions. You see here the AB-41s that Ariete used, and also the the L6 40s of the Novara Lancers. Inside this the table, you can see here the 88mm German guns that the German gave to the Italians, towed by 3ROs, Italian 3ROs. You see here the famous 90mm anti-tank gun. Here the truck-borne 90mm gun. Here's some core 149mm artillery. Now for more artillery, you see here the Schneider and Saldo with two groups here of 105mm guns. You see here the 100mm guns. That at least I read in one source that at least for some time it was used with Ariete Division, and two groups of 75mm. This is the wrong model. This is Depot model. I don't have the true one, but well, this one will have to be in the Ariete, while the others, well, I can't find the others. And this is the also there was a regiment of infantry. It was, if I'm not mistaken, the 39th infantry regiment, which was also attached to this tank division. Okay. There are also some other units here. This is the 12th raggruppamenti of artillery. This one didn't belong to the Ariete, but I just have it because it's almost mandatory to have these very interesting and very nice models. And also the Saharianas, which are not, of course, not part of the Ariete, but well, when you can have them, you just have them. That's all. So this is the organization. Now let's see the models. I mean, let's start with Bersaglieri, for instance. Most of them are converted figures. Originally, most of them are Esci figures. Some are the original Italian from the Alpine box. Others are German or British in shorts, also from Esci, but with a particularity which I can show you here. For instance, here, this one's here. Whoops, let's see if it focus. I placed the British helmet with lots of varnish. It became a little bit thicker, and I mean, somehow it became close to the Italian sun helmet. Then with some cotton, in order to make the cockerel feathers, they work okay as Bersaglieri. This is how I did it, and I did it all along the two battalions, as you can see here. Okay, it became at least different on those days in which these things were made. This 8th regiment was made, at least the infantry, maybe, I don't know, 25 years ago, something like that. There were no plastic Bersaglieri, so I did them like this. Transport is Minigeneral mostly. Minigeneral, as you can see now, very few printing lines can be seen, and the trick for this thing is to apply 2 coats of thick varnish on them, then prime them and paint them normally. The thick varnish will hide most of the printing lines in this terrible PLA material in which these models are made. I mean, resin, as everyone knows, is much better, but PLA is cheaper. It makes some better and better models, and you can erase the lines with this trick of the 2 layers of varnish. Support guns, you have here and material. Radio, scratch build, 45mm scratch build mortar, also completely scratch build Solothurns here and here in the other battalion. Valiant mortars, Breda, also from Minigeneral. My own converted Airfix motorcyclist from the Outpost box, and then copied with a matrix of blue stuff, and then material inside. The blue stuff is green stuff, and you can produce. I produce plenty of them for 2 motorcyclisti companies. You have here the, now for the tanks, you have here the L335s from mostly S models, Minigeneral over there, mostly S models, and some die-cast Lancia Esci M. For the tanks themselves, you have mostly the double kits from Italeri, also some somewhere inside these tank units, the old Esci ones also. Here you have Minigeneral mostly, and here also Minigeneral. The tank commands are Italeri. You can see the difference between an M1340 and an M1341. This is an M1441 because of the horizontal grille, and you can see here the vertical bars of the grille, and this shows M1340. There was some minor differences, but if you look at this difference, you will immediately find out which model is which. The figures are Mark Brown models from Holland. I mean, he has also a depot in Holland. It's from where I ordered them, and I think they are originally retro kit, and I don't know what brand. Also, some Waterloo commanders were placed, and even some very old Esci are here. Probably everybody remembers this Esci figure on top of a Italeri tank. Other Mark Brown here, very interesting figures, very beautifully cast. Now for the Semovente group, you have here a Carro Commando with plenty. It is the original Carro Commando of Minigeneral. Then I added figures, goniometer, right? I think it's the name of this kind of periscope. Open hatches, antennas, Breda machine gun, and retrokit figures. I think they're retrokit or something like that. They came from Mark Brown. Then I mix everything in a bag in a box, so I don't really know which is which. And this is L6 Caro Munizioni, which means that is a replenisher for ammunition carrier, if you want. There are Esci Semoventes here with the original crew. I don't know what I did to this guy. I remember I used the fireman to have this Italian crewman, fireman that I stole from one of my kids' toys. I don't really remember which. It's better for them. It's better for me not to remember these strange occasions in which thefts occur in their toy boxes. Command, you see here the surplus figures of the Italeri 149 and the 90mm guns being used as command stands. You can imagine General Ballotta or General Arena being consoled somehow by one of his officers, saying that, "Come on, Ballotta, come on, Arena, it's not your fault. What happens to this division? The culprit is the Italian industry that was not up to the level of the bravery of the soldiers in the Italian army." You can see here Fiat Colonialis 508s. There are several of them spread all over several units. A Minigeneral 3RO, Command 3RO. You see here something that is not Ariete originally. This is the 12 raggruppamenti, artillery raggruppamenti, I think it was the name. You see here the captured Morris with what? I think a 75mm gun, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to lie. With StreletsR crew and Esci driver. And you can see here a true nightmare to be built. I took maybe 4 days to build each of these things, which for me is crazy. Which is the IBG, very, very good, but very, very slow to build with hundreds of small pieces. I don't know why they do this kind of stuff. And I had to build 2, which was even worse. and they have also StreletsR crew, and they are the 3ROs with cut down cabin and with a Austrian 100mm artillery gun, and they became a very powerful anti-tank group. Not from the Ariete, they were, I think, they were attached to an infantry division. Savona, was it so? Maybe. But they are so cute that I had to have them, of course. The other one is more or less the same, not a big difference. Only the crew have different poses. And then, of course, everybody has to have a few. The Sarianas, this one with a 47mm. This one, this is a conversion because of the 47mm gun with an attached an extra Breda machine gun also. This is the original 20mm anti-aircraft Breda, and this one is a scratch-built Solothurn. So one of each of the main weapons carried by the Sarianas. Now for the Bersaglieri anti-aircraft guns. These are AS-37s, more AS-37s with plenty of attached stuff, different crew as you can see, StreletsR, Waterloo, Esci. You can see here the more 8 Bersaglieri regiment Semoventes here with 20mm Breda. I forget to tell you that the Breda, the Bersaglieri is that I showed you is organized according to the Africa Settentrionale later scheme of organization, in which even these guys were attached to them. So it was a little bit like the Germans did with the idea of less men, more weapons style of organization. You have here scratch built maybe 20 years ago Elefantino guns. They have nothing to do with kits, completely scratch built in pieces of plastic, with also converted artillery crew from Esci and sort. For instance, you can see here, maybe you recognize this guy here. For instance, this is the guy leaning and closer to the camera. Is that Esci British infantry from the Zulu Wars, in which they try to make a guy. I think he's pulling some boxes, and he has, of course, the 19th century colonial British helmet, which is here changed into a desert Africa Corps German helmet, which is very close, of course, to the Italian one. Okay, so plenty of scratch building here, different arms also, and plenty of different joy here also. And you can see here 37mm pack, which the which the Italians also had a few, borrowed from the Germans. 3RO with a 47mm bowler gun, the Elefantino, with more Bersaglieri crew. As I told you, look at the moment of Minigeneral. Very few printing lines, as you can see. And this is based on a picture I found of the 8th Regiment, really having a 3RO with bowler anti-tank gun. More Dovunques with French crews from AJT, sorry. I think it's the way you say it. And with more Elefantinos. These Elefantinos are coming from the Waterloo box of the Folgore paratroopers. Let's go to this side, and this is StreletsR Schneider and Ansaldo guns, more Coloniales. The wrong model of the 100mm guns. They should have, of course, rubber tires, and that part in the front should also disappear, but okay. More Coloniales. This is AJT with Esci and Italeri converted figures in order to have artillery people. Also, there is some Waterloo figures here, as you can see. That guy in shorts instead of throwing a grenade or something like that, is holding a shell to place inside the 100mm guns. And the depot guns that I told you are not the true ones for the division, also with plenty of recruits, artillery recruits coming from the Esci box and Italeri box. These, what was the name of these things? TL37s, if I'm not mistaken. They are BPM in plastic, in 3D PLA. They are prints also. They make a nice model because, and I included an extra, which is the Carellos Elasticos. It was the name of these things, which of course served to carry in a more comfortable position the World War One wooden wheeled artillery, at least the lighter pieces of the Italian army. And you have here a regiment of infantry, mostly Esci figures, as you can see, with a few Waterloo also, plenty of conversions. The Breda 8mm guns, as you can see here, are Revel World War I German 08 guns, converted for them to look like and crew is also converted from the same set, but converted in a way they look like World War II Italians. More Solothurn 20mm, more 45mm Brixia mortars, more Waterloo Elephantinos. Same repeats here in the other battalion. More AS-37s from Minigeneral, more Fiat 626 with the Strelets crew, as you can see. And I think most of the division was shown. I think there isn't much else to say. So I hope you have enjoyed. And let's wait for another big unit. If the next big unit is the Russian one, it will be 2 tank corps, which I hope to have placed on the table to show everything, because they're really big. Thank you so much, and let's say farewell. And when this thing is being recorded, there are some dreadful things happening in Europe. I mean, war between Ukraine and Russia. And I just hope that peace comes as quickly as possible so we can play war games and toys without hurting anyone. And I just hope that already people got killed and injured, but I hope that they, I mean, from now on at least, that the victims of this dreadful thing are no longer victims. And let's not forget that even if this war is, of course, particularly touching for us because it's Europe, let's not forget that there are plenty of these ones outside of Europe. In Yemen, in Syria, in Yemen, there are kids that are being fed with tree leaves boiled to make soup. Let's not forget those things also, and because if we forget, someone will take advantage of that also. So let's have our eyes open on all suffering of people. Okay. Well, thank you so much, and see you next. Bye bye.